U.S. concerns over TikTok lie in the fact its parent company is Chinese, and Chinese law requires Chinese companies to comply with any potential orders from Beijing to hand over data. Similar concerns have also been raised over other Chinese companies in recent years. Space debris has fallen to Earth before, including farmland in Australia in 2022 and through a home in Florida this past March, prompting experts to urge action.
Now, Sean, a lot of these resorts have snowmaking capabilities, so why are some of them not fully open?
Yes, so the resorts employ a variety of snowmaking equipment such as cannons and snow guns to help cover the mountains. Some, like Bowler Mountain in London, Ontario, can make snow even if it's as warm as 17 degrees Celsius. The city has been working on cleaning up the River Seine, but a sewer problem last summer canceled a pre-Olympic swimming event. Despite that, officials remain optimistic the events in the Seine will go ahead as Paris takes its latest dip into hosting the Olympics.
Now, Sean, what's the latest reaction we're seeing from world leaders?
Well, Netanyahu is blasting Tayyip Erdogan after the Turkish president compared him to Adolf Hitler. But Netanyahu says Erdogan is the last person to preach morality to Israelis. With a very active season ahead and such an intense storm to kick it off, experts say it's why people in at-risk areas should make sure they're prepared for storm season, even before hurricanes like Beryl make the news. It may not be as simple, however, for companies to just try another system or product. It may only be in one format. Cybersecurity experts say that's why companies should have backups.
Can you give us some background on what's happening there and also Canada's involvement in other programs of aid there?
Well, Canada says it is working with partners to support a peaceful end to the civil conflict, which started up in mid-April of 2023. The clock is ticking for Boeing. The U.S. Justice Department has until July 7th to decide whether to criminally charge the company after prosecutors alleged it violated a deferred prosecution agreement related to two fatal crashes in 2018 and 2019.
This is not something that's going away easily for Boeing. At all.
Boeing has previously said it has honored the deferred prosecution agreement and told Global News Monday it had no comment. It's yet to be seen if criminal charges will be laid. Legal experts say Boeing could face penalties or added fines if the DOJ does go ahead, or even an impact to their contracts both in the US and globally. However, the Justice Department will likely be cautious in what it does.
They may look to structure a guilty plea or some other penalty to do as the least damage as they can to civil society and military operations.
But aviation experts say even if the charges are not laid, the company may face more reputational harm, including more questions about safety.
The airline sector, the business, they still trust Boeing. It will be an issue about the trust of the public to board those aircraft.
Boeing has had a turbulent 2024 with multiple incidents involving its planes. Potential charges are the latest challenge, but not the only one. Even in cases with successful legal defenses, what may come out during any potential court case could still weigh heavy.
It's part of a more general trend, ultimately, to use criminal investigations in order to basically find the truth.
Global News reached out to Transport Canada for comment on how it would respond if charges were laid against Boeing, but did not hear back by deadline. Even if charges aren't laid, some aviation experts say changing consumer perceptions would be tricky. Though with Boeing making up nearly half of the aviation industry's market share, it could be difficult to avoid flying on one.
Trust the airlines, that the airlines are doing the job that they have to do to ensure the safety of the aircraft that are being flown by the airline.
Sean Previl, Global News. We've likely all heard the saying, it's not the heat, but the humidity that gets you. And research shows how true that is. It's known as the wet bulb temperature.
That's the reason why humidity is such a big impact, because it does really increase our heat stress. Although the temperature might be the same, we can't cool ourselves off.
Wet bulb temperature refers to the measurement where sweat on the human body or water on a thermometer can no longer evaporate. And that's a big problem when sweating is the body's mechanism for cooling itself off. That limit was originally believed to be 35 Celsius, but recent research found it could actually be as low as 31 degrees with 100% humidity. Humans can stand heat to an extent, but a 2010 study showed being in a wet bulb temperature of 35 degrees for more than 6 hours can seriously impact health.
A person's normal physiologic mechanisms for coping with extreme heat start to not be able to cope with that heat.
Doctors say the impact can include heat exhaustion, causing people to feel unwell or even experience nausea and dizziness. Where it becomes dangerous is when it progresses to heat stroke, a medical emergency, causing confusion and different levels of consciousness. If conditions get to that point, people are urged to try and cool the person down and call 911 immediately. With those potential risks and no sign of a cool summer ahead, there are things people can do to stay safe.
So the answer is not necessarily to go indoors if you don't have access to air conditioning. So I think that really what we need to inform people of is like they need to get to a cool space.
Taking cool baths and showers and drinking enough water can also help you stave off some of the heat. But doctors say people need to plan for those days so they can stay cool, even if the temperatures aren't dropping anytime soon. Sean Previl, Global News. It's been billed as a change to have the country's wealthiest pay more, but despite Ottawa saying more than 99% of Canadians won't be impacted by its capital gains tax increase, doctors are telling a different story.
We are being targeted with the same brush that is apparently being used for larger multinational corporations operating in Canada.
Dr. David Poon says many like him don't get pensions, insurance, or sick days, meaning they have to save up for retirement and family on their own. They often do so through a professional corporation, but that method means those who use one could face a tax increase on some of their capital gains. As of June 25th, individuals will see the inclusion rate rise from 50 to 67% on any annual gains realized above $250,000. Corporations like Poon's, though, face no threshold, meaning the inclusion rate will increase for all realized capital gains. Accountant Don Carson says that change for doctors could have a big impact.
Could mean that there's less money available for retirement for our family doctors, which just further make it less attractive to practice in Canada.
Some politicians have also been raising concerns about what the change means for doctors and Canadians.
They're going to get hurt the most. And everyone else that builds up a business, you try to sell it, they're going to get gouged as well.
Poon calls the government's move a retroactive tax on their savings and warns it could lead to more doctors doing less work.
I cannot think of a better way to disincentivize physicians to work, to decrease productivity, and to harm our already strained healthcare system than to increase taxes on doctors who worked so hard during the pandemic on their retirement funds, on their children's education, and any sort of livelihood that they were working so hard to have. Why work?
He's now trying to rally professionals like doctors against the changes, arguing they shouldn't be lumped in with the ultra-wealthy. Sean Previl, Global News.